morning, everybody. Welcome to this morning's A Different Perspective. My name is Dr. Patrick Flynn. I am so excited that you are here with us on this beautiful, chilly Saturday holiday weekend. I think it's what, the 21st today? It's December 21st? I think it is. Yes. Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you guys, I know a lot of, even my team has a lot of holiday celebrations this weekend. So I hope everybody has a very safe and amazing Christmas. I'm a sappy Christmas person. It's one of the most favorite times that I love of the year. I just like, I like the emotion behind it. I like everything about Christmas. It's just kind of cool. So I'm so excited to even be here during the Christmas weekend and next weekend at post-Christmas, because as I love Christmas in creating emotion, I love the fact of creating emotion with you guys to actually change your life. So today is no different. Today is a topic that I'm very excited to bring to you because, no joke, with this kind of condition that people suffer with of not sleeping, what happens is it's still one of the biggest and most prescribed medications and over-the-counter medications still taken today by most Americans and people around the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about sleep. I want you to understand this from a very different perspective. I'm going to really get into some detail that way, but let me explain this. I could probably do 10 different videos on it. And our media team and I were actually even just discussing some short videos that we're going to do on this. But I want to give you a concept that is very different when it comes to sleep, because I've come to the conclusion. So I'm going to give you the answer, and then we're going to work our way through to how I came up with this perspective. I'm going to prove to you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that women need sometimes 1 to 2 hours, and I'm going to roughly say around 2 hours of sleep more than a man. Let me say it again. Women need to average about 1 to 2, and I'm going to move it more towards that 2 hours of sleep per night more than a man. Now, how did I come up with that? Well, you guys all know this. If you've watched anything I've done, I'm going to base it on biochemistry and immunology and physiology and how the body works. So I'm going to go in great detail of sleep and show you that, once again, I believe that if women are not getting at least 1 to 2 hours of sleep more than a man, and then if the man gets a proper amount of sleep, guess what happens? They're going to be dramatically sick. It's one of the reasons why there's so much medication given for this. And here, let's go a little bit further. If we look at some of the movie stars, some of the celebrities that have passed away at a young age, you know what one thing they have in common is? They were all taking sleep medication. Michael Jackson, Kurt Cobain, all these guys, you look at it this way, they all had problems with this. And people always say, Doc, if I was going to choose one thing that could dramatically change my health, do you think I should get a food test? My answer is nope. Now you're saying, hold the phone. You guys discuss food and habits more than anything. I can honestly tell you this, especially ladies, if you get this right, it can dramatically change your health if you do nothing else at all. So I'm hoping what I share with you today is extremely impactful and evidence-based to the point where you're going to take sleep extremely seriously. I actually, as you guys know, I'm kind of like a sleep ninja when it comes to my wife and daughters. Why? Because women need more sleep. To the point it's changed my morning routine. It's changed my routine as a father. It's changed my routine as a doc, that when I'm even dealing with my wife. Why? Because she needs more sleep than I do. I can get away biologically with less sleep. So beating that into your head now, let's go into some concepts, and we're going to walk through, and I'm actually going to be doing 2 studios today because I'm going to show you there's a significant difference between men and women on their sleep needs and how it works. Now, are there some similarities? Absolutely. So let's do this. I'm going to start with a statement because I want you guys to take this statement extremely seriously, because if you get this beat into your head, you'll take sleep a little bit more seriously. And here it is. If you do not sleep, you cannot heal. Quote me on that. Somebody write that in the quotes below. If you do not sleep, you cannot heal. It is one of the most simple things that we can do to dramatically change our health. If you get a good night's sleep, it can set you up for the whole day. If you don't get a good night's sleep, no joke. For some of you guys watching right now, man, it's one of the first things you say in the morning. oh man, I slept great. Oh man, I didn't sleep at all. If you think about it this way, think about it. This weekend, okay, you're gonna have a bunch of things going on, parties, different things that way. You're gonna find out if you don't sleep well, it will dramatically affect you looking forward to the week or not. A lot of people do this. A lot of people are excited for the weekends because they have more opportunity to do what? Sleep. So I want you to understand that if we can get this right and we can understand this, we will now put ourselves in a situation that will massively benefit our health. Now, let's take a look at some of the major factors that we can look at, even from being a doctor, that actually can help us determine what kind of sleep we need and what we're getting. Well, let's start here. I want to start with this. I'm going to go into a little bit more science right away, but to understand sleep, I want you to understand circadian rhythm. Now, what I want you to think about is this. I want to step back and just let you know, like I said, I could teach for 8 hours on this alone. So what I want to do is I want to get the concept to you right away. I want to show you some lab testing. I want to show you some things and how I predicted and actually started to come up with both the male and female sleep pattern which is needed. And I want you guys to understand this, that I'm going to come back and do some more videos on this, but let's just dive right into what's called the circadian rhythm. All right. Now, why? Because it's actually a rhythm that both males and females actually have. It's actually a pattern of our hormones. It's a pattern of our life cycles, and you can actually measure this. So if you see here, one of the major hormones that you could actually measure some of your circadian rhythm with is actually cortisol. And our circadian rhythm is, our hormones are very high in the morning, and they go through, actually decrease through the day till nighttime, and then in the middle of the night, they start increasing. So this whole circadian rhythm is a pattern that's repeatable every 24 hours. Let me say that again. It is a repeatable biological pattern every 24 hours. So let's define it. Let's see what science says about the circadian rhythm in general. Here it is. The circadian rhythms, what are they? Circadian rhythms are physical, mental, and behavioral changes that follow a daily cycle. Now, I started teaching and doing the Hormone Connection I Disagree seminar again all over the world. I can honestly tell you, there is such a disconnect between the understanding of the body all working together. What do I mean? Most doctors actually understand that there is a physical realm to hormonal changes. But I'm so surprised that people do not talk about the psychological changes, and I made that connection, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, I started sharing the physical and mental connections between the two, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, that was revolutionary. No, it's not. You understand that, guess what? You know, we talk about the changes. Your body changes within a 24-hour cycle, both men and women. That means physically, we're different. That means mentally, we're different. That means, for example, if you understand the circadian rhythm, not only will you know how to sleep, you'll also know when to exercise, which is a whole nother video. And I've done that before. I've talked to you guys about men and women have to exercise differently. But guess what? There's physical, mental, and behavioral changes that happen to follow the cycle. They respond primarily to light and darkness in an organism's environment. Sleeping at night and being awake during the day is an example of a light-related circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythms are found in most living things. They're found in most living things. Everything from bacteria, animals, plants, microbes. The study of it is called what? Chronobiology. So I started studying this young and going, wow, our whole body and our whole life and our whole world actually has a circadian rhythm. We can predict the sun coming up and down pretty easily, just based on timing. Well, our body has the same kind of rhythm, just like that pattern does that way. And if you notice that light actually affects our rhythm, light affects our sleep, light affects our emotions, light affects also our physical aspects of our body. So what are our biological clocks? So you hear a lot of people say, our biological clock. That's an easy way of saying, hey, guess what? It's a circadian rhythm that our body follows, all right? Now, watch this. Biological clocks are an organism's innate timing device. They compose of specific molecules, proteins, that interact with cells throughout the day. Biological clocks are found in nearly every tissue and organ. Researchers have identified similar genes for people, fruit flies, mice, fungus, and several organisms that are responsible for making the clock components. So what they're saying is this: there is an internal and external things that actually affect your biological clock. So let's step back. Our topic today, once again, is sleep. That will show you that everything from, guess what? If you're a male or female, if, for example, you have any, microbial overgrowth or deficiencies, light, every internal and external environmental stimulant or stressor can totally affect our biological clocks. Now, I actually was reading a little research paper and this article came up. It actually gives a pretty good definition. A circadian rhythm is roughly a 24-hour cycle in the physiological process of living beings, including plants, animals, and fungus, and bacteria. Now think about that. So I want you to think about this. The bacteria actually have a circadian rhythm. I wonder if our normal flora, from our GI to our skin bacteria, actually have a circadian rhythm. They actually do. It's kind of funny. They actually do. They sleep when you sleep. They want to do the things when you do the things. It's kind of funny how this whole circadian rhythm all coincides, and that should give you an idea of how to take care of your body and actually even when to sleep. Now, in a strict sense, circadian rhythms are endogenous, generated. Also, they are modulated by external things like sunlight and temperature. Circadian rhythms are important in determining the sleep and feeding patterns of animals, including human beings. There are clear patterns of brainwave activity, hormone production, there's a key, cell regeneration, and other biological activities linked to the daily cycle. So when you say, Doc, when you say, if you do not sleep, you do not heal, you're right. Because there's certain times that our cells regenerate better than others. Wait, you're telling me if I cut my finger, it's going to heal better at a certain time of day? Yes. See, that's the whole cool thing it is. That's why when I started to go, hold the phone, regenerative aspects, hormonal aspects, brainwave activity, all these factors actually heal and are different based on our circadian rhythm. And one of the things which you're going to find out, one of the greatest times that we have to heal is when we sleep. You're going to find out that some of the greatest hormone production things are when we sleep. And when we don't sleep, guess what happens? You're going to have problems with these. You're going to have problems healing. But I also said, and this is the big thing, you're also going to have hormonal problems. Who by far has a higher demand on the hormonal system, men or women? Well, you know it, women. So by nature, I'm going to show you that the circadian rhythms, once again, are different on men and women. Even though they follow the same pattern, they're actually a little shorter for men. So therefore, men need less sleep. They're a little longer for women, so women need longer. And if they don't, ladies, I'm going to show you one of the most appropriate times for you to go to bed. And if you don't want to, your body's going to suffer. And I've done this for thousands and thousands and thousands of patients across the world, that if all I can do is get you today just to go to bed at the appropriate time, it'll change your life forever. Now think about this. It doesn't cost you a darn thing. That's the coolest thing about it. It doesn't cost you a penny. It just allows you to emotionally battle with what I'm going to share with you today. And that's the part that everybody struggles with. It's an emotional battle as a doc, but I don't want to go to bed during that time. I'm a night owl. Well, we're going to talk about that. Now, so if you look at the circadian rhythm more on a timing basis that way, when we look at that pattern of cortisol, we look at that pattern hormonally, and that even relates to other hormones. We're going to talk about melatonin in just a short time. But guess what happens? In general, both male and female, this is the pattern of your circadian rhythm. You're going to see that the peak is between what? Between 6 and 8. It does differ for women. It does. You're going to see that the lowest time drops from 9 to 11. Okay, it's a little different for women. I'm going to show you based on the hormonal aspects. So what happens is, but there's a constant rhythm that's going up and down. That means physically. That means emotionally. That means when you exercise. That means when you sleep can be determined by the cycles that your body is in its best time to do. You're going to find out, we talk about cell regeneration, we talk about healing. There's a better time to exercise just based on this alone. And to give you a little tidbit, I think we're coming out with that video in just a couple weeks that way. But I'm going to show you that if you want to get the maximized aspect of exercise, there's a certain time of day you should do it. And it differs a little bit between men and women. So now, as I started to do that, I was like, oh my goodness, that's when I had the light bulb moment. And I started to research the whole circadian rhythm, chronobiology that way, which is a study of it that way. And I started to look at all of the backing And all of the research, they talked about the sex differences in circadian regulation of sleep and waking cognition in humans. I am just floored that we think we're equal. And I know a lot of people don't like when I say that. It's impossible. There is no way that we can treat a woman and a man the same. There's no way that my daughters can have the same, or even my wife can have the same sleep pattern as me. Do you know why? Because they're so biologically different. The needs are extremely different, and which now affects both mood, cell regeneration, behavior, and sleep. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to take a little picture of this, and we're going to take an idea, and I'm going to be a little bit more specific when I actually write out the whole graph and show that there's a difference in when we need to do these things and then the things that affect it. Because I want to start by this. I want to start by when we talk about sleep, if there's one thing I can get across your head is this. Why women and men differ so much based on this is just based on hormones alone. That's why people say, Doc, where'd you come up with your ideas on this? Well, I came at just understanding hormones at a significant level. And here's what happens. For a guy, it's very easy and very quickly to build up their hormone reserves. For a woman, it's not. And for a woman, it takes a significant amount more of time for them to build up. And that's when I started to go, Miss Jones, you're a patient of mine. I want you to go to bed at this time. And if you go to bed at this time, it's going to be different. And I started to experiment with women. And what I mean by experiment, I would just give them advice about what to do, when to go to bed, and when to not get past that way. And it was a dramatic difference. I can honestly tell you, giving advice this way caused every patient that I had to heal at a much better rate. And when it came to men, it made no difference. No joke, it didn't. Men, they can be a little bit more sassy, and guess what happens? They can go a little less sleep, and it's not as effective with them. But if a woman doesn't get sleep, holy mackerel, I'm going to show you how it just throws so many things off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to my other studio here, which obviously is in the same room, and I'm going to draw out some of the things that we're talking about so you get a different perspective of this. So Brandon, Jason, you ready?
Yep.
All right, you got me? Okay, so let's think about this, okay? What I did is just basically take the graph of cortisol and timing, and I put out a little bit of different that way because there's a little bit more ranges on here because there is a difference. So I'm going to take my black marker, and I'm going to start with the guy's circadian rhythm, all right? And the reason why is this. It's a little bit tighter, it's a little bit shorter. I'm going to take some of the things that actually make it different, and then I'm going to take the pattern of a woman. I'm going to show you why they need more sleep, all right? So what happens is this. So if we look at the cortisol pattern of a male, they will actually have their cortisol peak roughly around 6 o'clock. You know, and that's why I say, well, Doc, it says 6 to 8 if you look at most things. That's because they're trying to encompass both male and female. But a guy actually, if he can build up his cortisol levels through the night, so we're going to say right around, let's say 6 a.m. Now, so let's put 6 a.m., all right? And they're going to build up through the night, and they're going to start to peak about there. And then, here's what happens. Then by nature, by lunchtime, they start to come down, okay? Now, that's why people don't realize. When you actually have, once again, lunch coma, when you introduce food in there, your blood sugar changes. And people don't realize, yes, insulin actually gets blood sugar into a cell. But what keeps your blood sugar in your bloodstream normal is actually cortisol. So then, by nature, guess what happens? Cortisol will drop. And then guess what? It starts to drop more. And then by around 10 o'clock, between 10 and 11, it tanks out. It does. It tanks out. It gets down to its peak. That's why if you ever notice, you know, that's why if you look at a guy, he can actually go to bed between 10 and 11 and get up around 6, between 5 and 6, and he's jacked up. Now why? Because here's what happens. Cortisol is an adrenal hormone. This is the big key. If you look at this pattern here, it's very similar to his testosterone pattern. Ladies, you know this. You guys, if you've been to my hormone seminar, we talk about this all the time. Men's peak of their testosterone, it's the only pattern that they have as far as fluctuation with their hormones, peak in the morning. Their cortisol and stuff peak here. So is testosterone. So what happens? See, that is actually gives them their vigor, their ability to get up, morning erections, all this stuff does. So therefore, they're actually at their biggest peak. And then over time, it decreases just like testosterone does. Testosterone does decrease at night also, so he can go to bed. But here's what happens. What time those things start to build up those hormone reserves? Well, guess what? Here's what happens. After 10 o'clock, testosterone starts to build up its hormone reserves that was used through the day for repair and regeneration, things like that. But here's the one thing about it. You only need, for example, about 3% of your testosterone produced by your adrenals. Okay? About 3%. Well, that does not draw a lot from your cortisol. That's why, for example, cortisol doesn't go down as quickly at night for a man. So that's why they can kind of stay up a little bit more, because 95 to 97% of their testosterone is actually made by their testicles. So there's no draw to actually drain the pattern of cortisol to change their circadian rhythm. So we can build up our testosterone reserve just by our testicles, and what's good. So that's why, guess what? By the time the morning comes around, we have no draw on that cortisol. So therefore, cool. 7 to 8 hours of sleep, we're jacked up. We're ready to go. See what I'm saying? Now, that's why it's so easy for us. Now you say, Doc, but there's things that actually can affect your cortisol and testosterone. Yeah, it's called blood sugar. You guys have heard me preach it before. You want to see a guy get up tired, regardless if his testosterone actually gets up or not, is blood sugar. Cortisol is affected dramatically by that. That's why I always tell people, your testosterone will convert to estrogens. Cortisol will actually affect your blood sugar regulation. You have too much sugar, it's going to do that. So that's why if you ever notice, when guys start to intermittent fast, when guys start to do this. Now watch this. Let me give you a little trick. Guys, do me a favor. Stop eating after 7 p.m. and you'll find out you need less sleep. Stop eating past 7 p.m. because what will happen is your cortisol pattern will be great. There'll be less demand on it. Testosterone is going to jack up like crazy. You won't convert it into estrogen. And guess what happens? You'll wake up massively jacked up in the morning. And it's not a joke. You're going to find out if you don't eat past 7 o'clock, you will wake up with a great erection. I'm not joking about this. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to have any, things. But what happens is a lot of guys don't wake up with a morning erection. But if they actually just stop that pattern there, guess what? And get to bed between 10 and 11, they'll find out that they're going to wake up very crisp, with no brain fog. Because cortisol and insulin actually do affect guys when it comes to brain fog. So this is why a male's pattern, between 10 and 11, get up between 5 and 6, you're cool and jacked up. If you're not, once again, so from a guy's standpoint for sleep, you're going to find out that blood sugar has probably the biggest effect if they're having some sleep problems. Yes, testosterone does affect it too, but guess what happens? Your blood sugar is going to be one of the biggest things for guys. Now, let me grab a different marker. Ladies, it's much different for you guys. It's dramatically different for you guys. That's why if you ever notice, when you look at the cortisol peak for women, it actually will do between 7 and 8 a.m. All right? So what happens is this, their actual peak is going to come around 7 or 8 a.m. Then what happens is they have a steeper drop. See, because most of our circadian rhythm around lunchtime and things like that, it starts to drop. That's why, no joke, that's why ladies are like, oh, doc, man, I crash after I eat. You're going to find out women have more of a dramatic lunch coma than guys ever do. And lunch coma isn't, always a bad thing that way. I mean, if it drops terribly quickly, it can just feel like you're just falling off a cliff. But that's why women will actually have a bigger swing. That's why they'll have a bigger swing during that lunchtime, all right? And that's pretty common. But then guess what happens? As it drops, it starts to drop down and tanks between 9 and 10. Man, between 9 and 10, it drops dramatically. So think about this. Their circadian rhythm, once again, is actually different than a guy's, and they're actually tanking between 9 and 10. I can honestly tell you, if you take one thing from this, ladies, do me a favor. And I know this is tough. If you get your butt in bed closer to 9, so between 9 and 10, you will just by nature wake up 10 times better. Why? Because here's the big thing. Right here, hormone reserves. Your body, your adrenals, actually even, once again, your other female hormones, actually start to do what? Start to build up its fuel tanks from roughly 9 till 1 a.m. No joke, watch this. From 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., your adrenals, once again, are responsible, especially if you're a cyclic woman, your adrenals are responsible for roughly about 30% of your cyclic hormones. Let me say it again, 30%. See, not 3%. Not 3%. That's why a guy is not that dependent on his adrenals to have his vigor, to have the hormones that actually make him who he is. Ladies, you do. You do. And the adrenals actually tank out like they're supposed to and move from the stress hormones to the anabolic response of building it up. Ladies, do this. Do me a favor. Watch this. Even, and you're going to find out, I'll give you the timing of it. If you go to bed at 9 and go to bed at 11, when you wake up, it's a dramatically different feeling. If you go to bed at 9 and go to bed at 1, even though you get, let's say, get the same hour of sleep. So let's do this. Let's take 9 hours of sleep. Let's say you go to bed at 9 and you actually wake up at 6. Now let's say, so 9 hours sleep, but let's say you go to bed at midnight and you wake up at 9 a.m. Ladies, you know this. Even waking up at 9, you still feel what? Tired. You still feel tired because you didn't build up those fuel tanks to help you get through the rest of the day because you consume some of them after 9 o'clock. So even if you don't fall asleep in the Flynn household, man, I'm telling you right now, you think I'm joking, you ask Christy. You text her right now, you put a message right now. Man, I'm always saying, hey, you know, guys, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. I teach my 4 girls and I get resistance from them. You think I'm joking? My oldest daughter, Faith, resists me so much. Brandon, my nephew's here, and he's laughing. And he's like, because why? So even as a dad, I'm sitting there going, girls, shut it down, shut it down. And they're like, no, Dad. I'm like, no, shut your butts down. Because you know why? Because tomorrow morning, you're going to be suffering from, dragon butt. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be dragging behind her all day long. Because why? Because as young ladies, you need to build up those hormone reserves. It's true. It's one thing that you need, and it's dependent on those adrenals. It is. That's why the circadian rhythm is different. Now, if you look, it does follow the same pattern, but it's just different. There's a bigger swing in women's than compared to guys. That's why guys actually, once again, are a little bit less emotional through the day. We have that peak in the morning and it drops down to noon. We just have a longer time for that to transition. You guys have more of a steep transition. That's why sometimes after lunch, you guys just want to crash and take a little nap. That's understandable, especially if you eat because you're going to throw in some blood sugar. Now, if you want to have a little less steep drop like that, where it's not so dramatic, don't eat anything with sugar. Don't have a sandwich at lunchtime. You know what I'm saying? Have something that's a little bit more fatty acid and protein based that way. Have some sugar, you're gonna have too much of a crash, all right? But here's the big thing, hormone reserves. Guys actually build their hormone reserves very quickly because the testicle can put it out quite significantly. Now, but watch this, guys. Let's talk about hormonal reserves. Now let's talk about this. Let's talk about blood sugar. Now here's what happens. You say, Doc, I do go to bed and I even go to bed at 9, but I always wake up between 2 and 4 a.m. Yes, does anybody know why? Because with this part right here, both men and women, the hormones start to raise between 2 and 4. If you have blood sugar issues, guess what happens? If you have insulin resistance, if you're eating too much sugar through the day, if you're having that ice cream before you go to bed at night, you know what I'm saying? If you're having Ben & Jerry's before you go to bed at night, or even if you're having good organic stuff, like a coconut-based ice cream, but it has some sugar in there, what will happen is your blood sugar is going to rise, cortisol is going to rise about 2 to 4 a.m., and you're just going to wake up. Because, Doc, it's 3 a.m., I just wake up. Yeah, there's a blood sugar problem. Once again, because cortisol big time regulates your blood sugar, and that's why if you notice, if you stop eating a little closer to 7 o'clock, you're going to find out that this is better regulated than actually waking up. So if you find yourself waking up between 2 and 3, with the exception of having to go to the bathroom, You know what I'm saying? But just waking up and just kind of wide awake, there's some blood sugar issues that you need to look at. Go to a doc and get your insulin levels tested. Get your blood sugar tested, because those are things that can happen. All right. Now, melatonin. Say, doc, melatonin, what is it? Well, I'm going to go over melatonin a little bit more in detail, but understand, melatonin is directly triggered by what? Light. All right? Melatonin is an amino acid-based hormone that can actually do what? Actually produced by a pineal gland that actually puts us to sleep. Okay? Now, the thing is this. I'm going to go over why it can be thrown off a little bit when I go back to my slides a little bit, but just understand, it peaks. Get this. It peaks for women. Guess what time? 9 p.m. 9 p.m. So melatonin itself is actually peaking at 9 p.m. See, think about this. The rhythms of the body are kind of telling us, here's what we're supposed to do. So why have I always said between 9 and 10? Because if you look at the biochemistry, you look at the biology, you look at how the body responds. Now, once again, it starts to deplete roughly at 12 hours. Yes, let me say it again. Women actually have melatonin kind of in their body for roughly 12 hours. A guy's doesn't peak roughly until between 10 and 11. And then guess what? They find out that, for example, guys actually melatonin is roughly only peaking for about 12 hours. So their amount of sleep, or even their body saying, listen, I'm producing your sleep hormone, is dramatically shorter. It's dramatically shorter. It's why, for example, women, even if they get up and they're wide awake, they're still a little drowsy, because melatonin is still in their body, usually from 9 to 9. That's why, ladies, sometimes you can sleep no problem that way. Guys, it's sometimes hard for them to stay in bed. I'm telling you right now, if a guy is sleeping past 6 o'clock, man, he's jacked up health-wise, because he should have just the testosterone, just the melatonin depletion, just the cortisol rise, man, they should just be jacked up and running like crazy. That's why, no joke, and if you get this pattern right, and if a guy goes to bed at 9, man, he can get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and he's running. No joke, you've seen me guys here at 4 or 5 in the morning all the time. I was here at 4 o'clock this morning. I went to bed, no joke, Christy had a birthday party last night. I told my girls at 8:30, I said, ladies, you make sure you're in bed by 9 o'clock. And then I went to bed at 8:30. You know what I'm saying? Because why? And I fell asleep right away. I woke up, and I woke up jacked up at 4 in the morning. I'm like, here we go, off to go. See, because why? Because of the rhythm and actually understanding this. And guess what time I stopped eating last night? And last night I had leftover meatloaf and I had liver. I had my liverwurst that way. And I had to make sure, because I said, listen, I want to be prepared for you guys. This is not a joke. When I prepare and have to have intense activity for you guys, I make sure I have absolutely nothing with sugar the day before. See, if I'm speaking at Hormonal Connection Seminar, asking my docs, I fast. Because I don't want my adrenals to be affected and my rhythm to be thrown off, because I want to perform the best for you. See, I understand this. That's why I'm here Saturday morning, jacked up, energy like crazy, pumped up. I'm gonna go hard for hours, and it's kind of nice. And because why? Then I fed my body the great organ meats, the liverwurst, and actually great meatloaf that actually had kidney in it too. It was kind of cool. And now guess what? My blood sugar hasn't changed. My testosterone's jacked up, and here we go. Now, watch this. So therefore, blood sugar regulation, if there's a problem here. Now I say, Doc, hold the phone, but I'm a night owl. No, you're not supposed to be a night owl. Do you understand you're not supposed to be a night owl? That makes no sense. Everything of your biology, come that 9 o'clock, men and women, guess what happens? It starts to shut you down. If you are actually starting to be a night owl, this whole pattern is off. That whole circadian rhythm is off. That means you're hormonally off. That means cellular regeneration is off. That means mood is off. Now, I know what some of you guys are asking. Doc, what if I work third shift? Oh, it bothers me. It does. I'm not joking. I'm going to tell you right now, this is my opinion. Let me say it again. This is my opinion, just because I want to make sure that you guys are not offended by this. If it was up to me, hey, trust me, I'm becoming an international company. I will tell you right now, I don't care what advisor ever tells me what to do business-wise, I will never let my company work third shift, ever, ever. Do you know why? It'd be against everything I believe. I just hire more people during the day so they can actually do this. It's not a joke. And I know some of you guys have wonderful jobs and have to work third shifts. I get it, I do. But my concern is your health. My concern is your vigor. My concern is your energy. My concern is actually your blood sugar. My concern is these things that way. But I'll tell you right now, I would never let, especially a woman, work third shift. I know, and I don't want to be offensive to anybody that way, but it scares me. When I actually see nurses that work third shift, my heart breaks. Because I'm sitting there going, I'm thinking about your internals that way. And I know we all have to support ourselves. We all have to pay our bills. I get it. I really do. You say, Doc, I have no choice. I truly do. But then we have to work really hard at keeping this whole thing adapting that way. So just my little opinion on that. So don't take any offense about third shift workers, because I know you guys are awesome people and things like that, and you put in hard work. You work just as hard as a person during first shift. It's just that I get scared when it comes to your system this way, because the biology gets thrown all off and then all these things happen. So these are pretty intense, okay? Now, let me throw in a little bigger monkey wrench here. Ladies, and men, this is your daily circadian rhythm. But guess what, ladies? You also have a monthly rhythm. And I'm gonna tell you right now, watch this. In the third week of your cycle, so roughly day 14 through 21, you understand that, guess what? You need even more sleep. Well, Doc, what do guys roughly need? Guys can get away easily with 7 to 8 hours of sleep, easily. Sometimes even 6, okay? But 7 to 8 is simple. Women need 8 to 10. Watch this, ladies. You think I'm joking? I'm a husband too, besides a doc. During that third week of the cycle, that means, once again, first 1 to 5 to 7 days is menstruation. You have your period. Next one. And then the third week, because remember, let's divide into 4 weeks, as you guys know. That third week, a woman needs 10 to 12 hours of sleep. Why? Why? Because here's why. Cortisol also comes from a woman's progesterone. And if she's really stressed out during that time, progesterone peaks, so there's less cortisol in the system. There really is. And so that's why you'll always see that women actually drop a little bit in cortisol during that time. They're a little bit more inflammatory. And so what happens is, during that third week, I'm not joking. Remember, I'm a husband too. I'll look at Christy and say, you need to sleep more. You say, Doc, but how is that possible? I'll look at her and say, listen, I'm taking the girls to school. I'm doing these things. You think I'm joking? You ask her. Everything I teach you guys, I put into practice. And people say, because why? Because I don't want my wife sick. I don't want her body in a state. I want her to be energetic and happy and emotionally great all day long. And I know, for example, this is tough. You say, Doc, I got kids, I got to work 10, 11 hours sleep. I get it. But if you get this right, it costs you nothing. If you get this wrong, it costs you everything. It does. Because then I have to give you things that cost thousands of dollars to help your body adapt to not getting enough sleep. And see, this is the stuff that I'm trying to teach. Remember, everything I teach you guys, I'm trying to keep you from spending money. I'm trying to keep you from doing these things. This is simple. Sleep costs nothing. Do you understand? And it's like, it's like, even like when women have babies, I get it. It's tough because they're waking you up, they're pulling on your boobs, they're actually kicking you, doing stuff, especially co-sleep like we do that way. But even to this day, I make sure that when our 6-year-old jump in bed, I'm like, no, snuggle with daddy. Leave mommy alone. She needs her sleep more. It's easier for a man to fall back asleep. It's easier for this. Right? That's just what happens. These circadian rhythms are so important. So, Brandon, let's head back to our studio. All right. We good, Jason? We good, Brandon? All right, so let's look at this then. So, Doc, what's one of our first steps? Well, guess what? Let's get it tested. Because look at this woman right here. Watch this. There's the black lines are actually the normal circadian rhythm of her cortisol. The red is actually her. She's peaked. I mean, it's significantly higher in the morning. And then look how much it drops to normal in the afternoon. So even though it's the normal in the afternoon, this woman's like, man, I just crashed at lunch. Doc, why does she feel like she crashed at lunch? Because her body is such high under stress at that morning. It's so elevated. Cortisol is so elevated. Now, one of my first questions is this. Well, do you wake up through night? Oh my goodness, now look at, in that early 2 to 4, she's already peaking. She's getting up and she can't go back to sleep. So what happens is this. There was mental stress with this woman. There was blood sugar dysregulation as a woman. This woman was eating too many sweets before she was going to bed. Okay? So we changed the lifestyle habits, and no joke, within a very short time, she saw some progress on here. Now, on the flip side, get this. That whole circadian rhythm, can flip. All right? Now, here we go. I apologize. For some reason, it transferred over and didn't transfer over my slides. All right. So what I'm going to do is more talk about it this way. I'm going to talk about, once again, in my slides here, I'm going to talk about melatonin. All right. Melatonin by nature, no joke, there is a term that melatonin has. It's called the Dracula of hormones. The Dracula hormones. Melatonin is an amino acid-based hormone that actually can calm our body down and put us to sleep. Now, the funny part is bright lights directly inhibit. Let me say it again. Bright lights directly inhibit melatonin. Wait, what does that mean? That means if you want to wake up in the morning and get a little bit more crisp, ladies, it's not a joke. Look right into the sun. Look right into the sun. If you ever understand that when you go outside and put your feet on the ground and look at the sun, it'll actually inhibit and you'll actually be more clear and crisp. So that's why when people say, Doc, I'm kind of tanked out and I'm kind of like all worn out. Now, for example, what we're going to do, just because I want to do this, Brandon, would you grab me a sheet? I want to grab my slides on this. So if you could grab me. So hang in there, guys. We actually have I want to transfer. I need these slides for you guys that way. And for some reason, as I airdropped it over to my computer over there, we did it. We actually lost. No. Grab me a jump drive. Yes, our media team, just to let you guys know, our media team is absolutely awesome, and they are quickly great at coming and doing this. Do we have the thing to attach it, the dongle or whatever it is? So I'm going to do this, guys. Hang in there with me, guys. Trust me, you don't want to miss this, and that's why it's too important for me just to explain it to you. So what we're going to do, Brandon, you want to come over here real quick? Yep. Everybody do me a favor. If you want to be put extra in the drawing tonight, let me talk about this. The drawing tonight, what's the prize for the 12 days of Christmas? What's the prize? Do we know?
Ryan, prize for today?
What's the prize for today? Somebody remember? So we got Megabiotic is the present today. If you say hi to my nephew Brandon, if you say hi to the camera, so you say hi to the camera, you say hi to Brandon, we will put your name in the drawing one extra time for the giveaway tonight. We've been giving away so many things for it that way. Okay, Brandon, why don't you throw that one?
Flynn?
Yes, that's right. It's fantastic. So have Brandon, say hi to Brandon Flynn. Brandon just, he's going to, as people are saying hi, you will be put in. Now let me explain what the 12 Days Christmas is as Brandon's changing us over. The one thing that I can honestly tell you, and I will tell you, this was an idea done by our amazing team. I preach this constantly. If there's nothing that can be done without amazing people around you that way. And the Wellness Way is not only an amazing team of people here in Green Bay, but all of the doctors. I guarantee if you're on right now, and you might have a watch party with some of the docs right now, guess what happens? They are amazing people that do amazing work. And the team came up with, why don't we do the 12 Days Christmas like we did last year and just give a bunch of stuff away? We do. We give so much stuff away because we'd like to. We love to actually see how people are actually, changing their life. So we like to give a bunch of presents away during Christmas. So tonight is the Megabiotic. So tonight at 8 p.m., I think there's a video going on at 12. And then at 8 p.m., I will announce the winner. Because what the team does, all you guys that constantly put the mountain in, all you guys that say Merry Christmas, all you guys that say hi Brandon, when you interact with us, we put your name in there, and then the media team will draw it out, and they'll text me at 7:55 or 8 o'clock and say, here's a person that won. And Jennifer Wilkinson won last night. So we doing good, Brandon? All right. So we're going to continue here. So do me a favor, for you guys that are new to our group here, do me a favor. Let me know where you're from. Because like I said, I always like to interact with everybody and know where they're from. So if you are from California, say hi to California. Even though most California people usually watch it on replay because you guys are 2 hours behind. Also, January 21st through the 25th, a course of 5 days. On the 21st, I will be in Denver, Colorado on 21st and 22nd. And then I'll be in Oregon the 24th and 25th. So I'll be doing the hormone connection seminar 4 times over a 5-day period that way for us to be able to share out there. I'll be with Dr. Shannon. I will actually be with Dr. Jacqueline. I'll also be with Stephanie and Mike, and also be with Dr. Stephanie on Saturday, and we end in Portland, and then we fly back to Green Bay. And then it's kind of neat. So thank you, Brandon. Yep. So as he is changing this now, I'm going to get back to we're going to talk about melatonin now, because once again, melatonin itself. So Brandon, if you want to go to the Dracula slide on there. Melatonin itself is actually known as this alone. It's known as Dracula of hormones. Why? Because, man, it's an amino acid-based hormone. Now, why do I keep on saying amino acid-based hormone? What you're going to find out, and that's why I want to actually take our time here and actually pull this up, all right? It's an amino acid-based hormone. It's actually, once again, that's why you can take the amino acid for melatonin. That's why you see it as a supplement. And I'm not against it, but I'll show you where it can be detrimental. I'm not against supplementing anything for a short time. I'm really not. I know it sounds funny. I'm not actually against supplementing with drugs for a short time if there's a plan to get off of them. So when you look at melatonin itself, it's actually inhibited by directly lights. Now watch this. Melatonin, once again, can be measured. Now, if you look at this and why I said it's an amino acid-based hormone, think about this. It's an amino acid-based hormone. One of the biggest people that suffer from melatonin and actually sleep problems is actually vegans. They're actually vegans. They actually eat a little too much sugar with all the grain-based, and also, once again, people don't realize, remember, vegetables are still sugars, all right? They lack the building blocks to do amino acids. That's why you'll notice they supplement with B. I have a lot of people that, now once again, am I saying you can't be a healthy vegan? I'm not saying that. You can be a healthy vegan, it's just very difficult. You have to supplement with so many things. You have to actually take so many more things in order to do it, to create those amino acids to be able to produce this hormone for the pineal gland. Okay? So I want you to understand that it can happen, and this is what happens. You can actually have very low melatonin. Now, on the flip side, there's people that, for example, as I point to my other studio, don't understand the circadian rhythm, and so what they're going to do, they're going to supplement with melatonin, and then guess what happens? Then they get psychotically high. The range goes from 10 to 85. This person's at 7,800. Guys, listen. If you are missing some melatonin, this person right here, let's go back. This person right here, come on. This person right here will take melatonin as a supplement and feel a change. They do. That's why if you've noticed, there's people that say, Doc, I took melatonin, didn't work. Yeah, because once again, you already had normal melatonin. See, stop guessing and start testing. So this person that took melatonin, man, they thought melatonin was the greatest thing on the planet. Well, supplement for a short time, but understand that you don't want to take it long term, because if you're deficient or you can't produce melatonin, you're going to be deficient in other things and amino acids that you can't make other neurotransmitters. So understand now on the flip side, there's people who take a ton of melatonin and they don't feel anything. Why? Because it's normal. So this person taking it, 7,800, this person has more of a circadian rhythm problem, and that's why some people can have perfect melatonin, take it, and see no effect to it at all. That's the great part. So that's why people say, well, Doc, I took it, didn't work. Then you're deficient in some things. Doc, I took it, it didn't work, or it worked. Well, that means you actually are missing some amino acids you need in order to do it. And so we got to work on those things. It gives doctors a little bit of direction. So it's important to understand that. I do want to go back a couple slides that when I realized that it didn't transfer over. Here's that circadian rhythm again, and this is becoming extremely common, especially in women today, because they don't get enough sleep. You're going to find out your hormonal reserves are so important to be the bed between 9 and 10 that by the time you wake up the next morning, guess what happens? You're kind of already behind the 8 ball. And as you can see, the last person weighs above. This woman is that bottom barrel the whole day. This right here, once again, is chronic fatigue syndrome. What happens is this. You can only go to that well of no sleep and no sleep and no sleep and no sleep and no sleep. And guess what happens? It will drain your body because you have no ability to build up those reserves. And then you start creating fatigue to the organs and you have a hard time even producing them. And guess what happens? You end up in extreme chronic fatigue. And it doesn't matter what you do all day. Doesn't matter what you do all day. And then you bottom out. And even sometimes when you sleep, you wake up and it doesn't even feel good. And you can't even get going. All right? So understand, this is what happens over time. And I can honestly tell you, over all these things that have happened dramatically through the years, guess what happened? I'm seeing that more often. Why? Because women are trying to push themselves like men. This happens with women that exercise way too much. That's why I'm going to do a video on this, because they not only, once again, push it too much, but they work out when? In the evenings. Ladies, do not work out in the evenings. Do not work out, okay? Because what you're doing is you're causing some adrenal stress, and you're going to throw off your circadian rhythm. You're going to get your second wind, and you're going to be up till 11 o'clock. You're not supposed to do that. You've got to keep that heart rate down. But I know women that go to the gym at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And man, I'm telling you right now, you're exercising past 7 o'clock. It can be a very bad day for your hormones and very bad day for your sleep. And once again, there are going to be other host of problems that do there. That's why I tell people the sleep aspect and exercise aspect can correlate quite well. Now, as you guys saw these slides, let's go to this one right here. So how can we create better sleep? Number one, get to bed between 9 and 10. Now you say, Doc, but both men and women? Sure. Men will just actually get up earlier. But what's wrong with a man getting up early and getting his day going? But I will tell you right now, ladies, if you just do this, get to bed between 9 and 10, and actually try to get in pairing. You say, Doc, guess what? But I laid there for an hour. Great. Eventually you won't. Eventually you won't. You have to start somewhere. But you need to get to bed between 9 and 10 o'clock. Closer to 9 the better, ladies. Closer to 9 the better. Number two, inversion table. What? Where did I pull this out of? Okay. Well, let me show you something. Speaking of Dracula and a bat, okay, think about this. When you actually hang upside down, your adrenals take a break. It's why yoga and downward dog actually is a great thing to do before bed. So when you invert, you actually cause your adrenals to go, ah, and you cause the heart to go, ah. Because the main reason your heart beats so much is because it's trying to get blood to your head initially. Well, when you invert, your heart does slow down, your pulse does slow down. So if you do an inversion table before you go to bed, you will sleep dramatically better. You can buy inversion tables for basically nothing. Do you know why? People buy them and they never use them, so they sell them. It's not a joke. And you can buy inversion tables even at maybe, any sporting goods store from anywhere from 75 to 100 bucks. Okay? Don't buy the ones that are like 800 bucks. I'm like, man, if you want to do something even better, do me a favor, just elevate your feet. Even if you get a little bit of elevation, put a pillow underneath your butt and put your feet up on the couch and just get your adrenals above your heart. And it still will be better. Now, if you get to hang upside down, man, you get that massive blood flow to the head. The heart slows down. The adrenals kind of go, ah. It's why the yoga position of downward dog has become so popular. It takes the stress off the adrenals. Number 2, 3, sleep on your right side. What? So you're like, we didn't even talk about this. No, but here, understand this. People don't realize this. And here, your liver sits right here on your right side. Your heart sits right here. When you sleep on your left side, the majority of Americans today are actually overweight. The majority of Americans have a larger liver than they're supposed to. We're talking 90% of people have a larger liver than they're supposed to. Either have fatty liver disease or actually in the process of doing it. And what happens is laying on your left side will actually compress the heart. That's why you'll notice people that when they actually are a little bit more overweight, if they sleep on the right side, they will actually sleep better because it won't compress the heart. So that's one thing I've always told people, especially if you have some weight on you. You want to be more apt on your right side because a lot of times when you compress your heart, they'll startle you and wake up that way because once again, you'll get some abnormal rhythms. Now, number 4, test your circadian rhythm. Test, guys. See where that cortisol pattern is at. It's something that should be done on a regular basis. I test Christie's, I test Faith and Trinity's, my daughters that way to see where the rhythm is at. Because once again, if that cortisol starts coming up at night, you're going to get your second wind. It's going to be a bad day. Number 5 and 6, test your blood sugar and insulin. Test your melatonin. Once again, you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone just by doing a Dutch. but get your blood sugar and insulin levels tested. I can show you the other day, we had somebody that came in and their insulin levels were psychotically high. And they wondered why they're waking up at 2 a.m. They're wondering why they, for example, couldn't actually fall back asleep once they woke up in the middle of the night. They're very important to get tested. Number 7, check your pulse. What do I mean by that? Man, you're laid down and put your ear on the pillow and you can hear your pulse. That is a telltale sign that you probably either have a, let me see here, potassium, magnesium deficiency, mainly potassium. And you guys know how, when I talk about potassium, how important it is. But also, once again, some of the other sleep things, once again, CBD and marijuana. Now, I'm going to tell you a story, a personal story. When I actually started to really study this a long time ago, let me make this clear so everybody knows, because somebody's watching this and everybody's saying, Doc, you're going to talk about marijuana right now. Yes, I am. But hold the phone. I can only tell you from my personal experience. I'm against smoking. Please don't smoke. I'm against smoking marijuana. I don't want to do it. But here's what happens. I don't want to see anybody do it in that way, because why? I want people to understand that any smoking is carcinogenic. But I want to show you that sometimes these sleep aids are 10 times better. I would tell a person to smoke marijuana ever before I tell them take Ambien. Let me say that again. I would tell a person to smoke marijuana before I tell them to take Ambien, because you mix medications with sleep medications. It's why there's so many deaths of certain people from sleep medications. Do you understand? Sleep medications are only told to take a very short period of time. Here, watch this. Any drug is told to take a very short period of time. Your doctor doesn't even know that. Does anybody know this? Watch this. I was actually, I was doing a prepping for another talk I'm doing. And does anybody know the length of time for PPIs is, protein pump inhibitors, acid stopping drugs? Does anybody know what the major timeline they say that you don't want to go past? 6 weeks. I know people have been on them for 6 years. 6 years. They're very detrimental for the body. So that's why you got to be careful with sleep medications. Very detrimental for the body. So I'll tell people, you smoke marijuana all you want to sleep, because I'd rather take the battle of the smoke than actually battle what can happen from that sleep medication. Okay, because it creates very bad things to the brain. Okay, now let's go here. So I got to tell you a personal story. My wife's going to laugh at this. So I'm starting to actually, find out all the cannabinoids. And yes, you can get some cannabinoids from just hemp-based ones alone. But your THC by far is fantastic for all the cannabinoids in the brain. So I was like, this was kind of funny. So I actually got some great oil made from organic, great marijuana, no chemicals and stuff like that. And I took a little bit and nothing. I was like, what the heck? And I gave it to some of my friends and stuff like that. And they took it and they had a great effect to it. I'm like, what the heck? Why is it that I can do it? So once again, I put on a little bit of chocolate. And I said, I'm going to take more. I'm going to take more. So I put a goop about this big on a piece of chocolate and I ate it. Okay? And then I'm like, all right. And I'm like, son of a gun, nothing. Well, about 5 hours later, I'm sitting at my house and I'm watching a show and I'm like going, and this is not a joke, guys. I'm like going, it's about 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, man, that TV has really good color. It's not a joke. Yes, everybody in the studio is laughing because they know the story. I'm like, my TV has really good color. I'm like, and I'm a little tired. I went to bed at 8 p.m. I woke up 2 p.m. the following day. You understand? That's like 3 days of sleep for me. My staff is laughing here because it's true. I was like, holy heck. I woke up and I'm like, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm like, it was kind of funny. I slept great. I don't even remember actually really sleeping. It was fantastic. And now you say, Doc, you're promoting drug use. No, I'm telling you right now, the only reason why marijuana is illegal is because of politicians, not because of health purposes. But the idea is this, is there's other sleep things that, once again, the reason why it didn't affect me until I took a large goop of it that way was because I didn't have a problem with one of the things. But cannabinoids can actually calm that nervous system down. I just, once again, took a little too much, and it got me down to where I slept 18 hours, all right, which is, once again, huge for me. Now, so things that can be done that way, all right? That's why I love potassium. You start doing potassium, man, it can do a great thing because we don't get enough potassium. Now, number 9, complete darkness. Another personal story. This is the only battle I can honestly tell you that me and Christy have at night. Because I like it pitch black, okay? And Christy likes a little bit light because it's hard for her to, I've learned to navigate. I think I'm by nature nocturnal that way. It's where it's like I love getting up when it's dark and watching the sun come up. But what happens is this, you need complete darkness. You really do. You don't want to have light coming in. Otherwise, once again, I have my eyes closed. I can still see these lights. The amount of melatonin that is actually, it's directly inhibited by light. The darker you need to get your room as dark as possible. Otherwise, it does affect your melatonin production. No alarm clocks. Hold the phone. Guys, think about this. All of a sudden, you're sleeping, and all of a sudden, beep, alarm comes up. Your cortisol spikes like crazy. There's alarm clocks that actually use light. They actually get extremely bright, okay? You set them on your nightstand that way, and then they come up. Some of them even bring nice, soft music, stuff like that. That's what we do. We actually have on our phone, we actually have the music come up and it wakes us up. Once again, especially when it's a little bit darker around 7 o'clock or so here during certain Wisconsin times. But the idea is this. There's light alarm clocks. Once again, it's a bright light and it wakes you up very slowly. Okay, remember that. Those are great. You can buy them on Amazon. Do me a favor. Go out and buy your kids them. And just let you know, I have no ties to light clocks. Okay, but the idea is this. You don't want to wake up and be startled when you wake up in the middle because that throws your hormonal rhythm off. Do not use alarm clocks, please. I want you to use something that brings up music louder. Bring up something that, for example, I can honestly tell you, you guys ever have this happen to you? Because, I have my music that plays that way. You guys ever, been sleeping and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're jamming out in your dream and realize it's your alarm clock waking you up? It's like, I'm singing in my dream and I wake up, I'm like, oh, it's my alarm clock from the song. Now, if you start doing that, you'll laugh like I am because it happens to you if you've been there before. And so, long story short, use music. Our iPhones have it right out. It'll bring the music up louder and louder. Get an alarm clock that actually uses lights, not and startle you. That's not good for your hormonal rhythm. It's not good for your sleep, all right? Now, grounding. Grounding, yes. Guess what? Imagine this. We are a bunch of energy. So I love grounding for 2 reasons. Number one, I like to go outside, look at the sun, put my feet on the ground, but also at night. Your body's rhythm is connected to the sun. It is. Go outside at nighttime and ground. The electroactivity of the ground transfers to your body. It's very calming, okay? If you're in Florida, walk on the beach. Well, doc, it's nighttime. Yes. And those electrons transfer and absorb into your body. It's well documented on this. All these things, with the exception of potassium and things like that, are very cheap, okay? Look into the sun when you get up. Extremely important. It actually does a great job of lowering the melatonin levels and actually gets you up and actually brings up your testosterone levels, brings up your estrogen levels, brings up and reduces the melatonin so you're more clear and vigorous. And to end, lastly, no electronic devices 30 minutes before bed. Not a joke. The light stimulation of doing this before bed is not good, okay? It's not good because you're looking at going and it's stimulating you and actually it's causing your body to actually reduce your melatonin levels and you're trying to fall asleep. It can throw it off. We are all addicted to this. We are. I am, you are, we all are. Heck, I built a living just you guys watching me. I've watched people text me or make a comment at 11 o'clock at night. A woman's going, Doc, I loved your video. I'm like going, well, you should really be sleeping right now, not watching me on video, but thank you for watching me on video. Okay? But don't do it at 11 o'clock at night. And number 14, one of the greatest things to actually create sleep, sex. Ladies, do you know why guys fall asleep after sex? Do you really know the biological reason for it? Because here's what happens. They have sex. Guess what happens? They need to produce sperm. So therefore, their testosterone levels drop because they need to use it up to produce sperm. Okay? So that's why. So that's why it's like all of a sudden they have sex. Guess what happens? They crash. Okay? Guys, this is not a joke. This is not a joke. Having sex with a woman at night and not bringing her to the top of the mountain will actually cause her to sleep less and not sleep more. So if you don't plan on bringing her to the top of the mountain, actually have more sex in the morning. Your testosterone's higher anyways that way, but if you're gonna, I'm not being disgusting about that, but if you're gonna have a quickie in the morning, don't have a quickie at night, because it actually can throw that woman's circadian rhythm off. And if you're not willing to put in the time and effort at night to bring her to the top of the mountain, guess what happens? Don't do it. Don't. And all the guys are like, Doc, I loved everything you said, just till then. I understand, but they're different than us. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, so therefore, guess what? A woman without finishing actually puts her adrenals at a more stress level, and so therefore, guess what happens? She'll be up for a while. That's why sometimes, that's why guys, they do what? They crash after. Yes, because their testosterone levels, once again, are used up dramatically. So, on all these things on sleep, I tried to give you a big idea to stop listening to people about taking, once again, sleep medication. That can be very detrimental. Sleep medication interacts with a lot of medications. It's very scary. You need to start learning how the body works. Think about it this way. everything I teach you is based on biochemistry. There's not one thing that you can't look up that I just talked about on all these circadian rhythms and why I've come to the conclusions and why it caused me to think differently. That's it. See, nobody disagrees with what I present physiologically. They just don't know how to put it in clinical practice because there's no money involved. The Wellness Way said, no, listen. We are going to teach our doctors to teach you how to be the best and healthiest person on the planet. That's why most of our recommendations are actually do this and don't do this and do these things and eat these things and stuff like this. But if you don't, you're going to have to supplement. A lot of people don't do them, and that's why I have to supplement. That's like when I talked on Monday about Gymnema. Guess what happens? Try to reduce your sugars. Well, I can't right now. Well, then guess what? Then you need a supplement to actually help your body so you don't get too high of sugar levels. So understand, I want you to stop listening, start learning so you can think differently. Because once you be able to think differently, your actions are dramatically different. They are. And it can change the course of your life. So I hope I gave you a great idea of how I see sleep. Guys, I'm not joking. Your wives right now may want to push it during the holidays. I'm begging you as a husband. I'm begging you as a father. And I'm begging you as a doctor. Please do not let them do it. Make sure that they get to bed at a decent time. Because once again, you don't want your wife, you don't want your daughter sick. Do you know why? Because illness costs a lot of money. I watched a political debate this week, and I watched everybody talk about who should pay for health care. And we should just make the rich people pay. And just make these people pay. It doesn't matter who pays for it. It doesn't matter if it's private insurance. It doesn't matter if it's a socialized program. It doesn't matter if it's Europe that has, it doesn't matter if it's communism and they take all your money and pay for it this way. Guess what happens? When you pay for a bad idea, there's still a bad result. We need to stop this nonsense. We need to protect people and sometimes from themselves. I will protect my wife from herself where she wants to stay up too late. I'll protect myself from it. I can get away with it more than she can. Why? Because I'm a man. And men and women are biologically, men and women are emotionally, and men and women are physically different. So, on that point, I want you guys to have an amazing Christmas. Merry Christmas to every one of you guys. God bless all you guys from the Wellness Way. God bless all you Wellness Way doctors that do this on a regular basis. God bless to all you docs or people that just watch and share this information. I feel grateful every day. This is just my personal thing. Christmas to me is a time to reflect on Jesus. We all know that Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, but it's just a time to remember and not forget. And that's why he says that, don't forget me. I'm gonna tell you right now, once again, during the holidays, just remember, don't forget some people that helped you get where you are and helped change your life. I will never forget. I don't forget. That's why loyalty to me is so important, because don't forget. So, Merry Christmas to all of you guys. You guys have a wonderful holiday. I will see you guys next week. Hey, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single video or live stream. Also, share this video with a friend. Once again, thank you for watching.